Hello, everybody. Here we are again. I don't know if you're watching live, if you're watching on replay. This is one more episode. Friends are us. And today we have a very dear friend of mine. I know the guy for about 2.5 years or 2 years. And
Yeah.
he's huge in Brazil. He's a comedian. He also teaches English. He's a multitasker, as I like to say. He's a gym rat. He loves to go to
Yeah.
the gym. He's amazing. I laugh so hard with him. He's Peter, or Pizza as he prefers, because he's from London. But he got married to a Brazilian woman and he can speak Portuguese much better than I do. And this is Peter, o gringo recifense, the gringo from Recife. How are you, Nikita? How are you, Dev? How are you, Pete?
Hello. I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for inviting me on the podcast today. I'm very excited.
Yeah,
Looking
yeah.
forward to the questions.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure because you are a household name already on my channel. Thank you
Uh,
so much for doing this again with
no,
us.
you're very welcome.
So, Nikita,
It's
you
actually
go.
cool to have someone from, someone who lives in your country,
Yeah,
just, well,
yeah. We should speak
quite
a little
nice.
bit Portuguese at the end because you
Yeah,
can
sure.
Okay.
see the difference between my accent and his accent because he lives in the Northeast and he speaks a
Mm,
little different than me, but it's really cool. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay, go ahead, Nikita, take it away.
Okay, okay. Well, I think it'll be quite appropriate uh, to ask you a bit about the
Yeah,
stuff that you do, like on social media, in particular, comedy stuff, because I think it'll
sure.
be quite interesting. Could you please tell us about it?
Yeah, perfect. So I started, I made an Instagram page probably about almost, I'd say 2 years ago now. I think I made it. And the idea was to show people of my experiences living in Brazil and also show the differences and the comparisons of mainly cultural differences between the UK, where I'm from, and Brazil, and some of the things I
Okay.
found very interesting about Brazil and the country. So I thought I'd create short videos um, showing people in a sort of funny way. And I saw people liked it, and I sort of gave me the motivation to keep creating these videos and sort of and it just sort of
Mhm.
grew from there. So that's where it started. Uh,
Uh-huh.
Mainly
Uh-huh.
coming to Brazil and getting this idea of the
Uh-huh.
people actually. It wasn't me that actually came up with the idea. It was actually my brother-in-law and a friend of mine sort of convinced me, hey, you should create these
Okay.
videos, and that's how I started.
Okay. So just like making these observations, like
Yeah.
maybe highlighting some differences, right?
Yeah, exactly. Sort of seeing things
Okay.
I thought were unusual about the country and
Uh-huh.
sort of
Uh-huh.
giving my opinion and
Uh-huh.
yeah, try and
Uh-huh.
do that in a funny way. So yeah, that was where it
Well,
came from.
maybe some memorable things stick to you till now.
Yeah,
Something.
definitely. Like, obviously when I came to Brazil for the first time, I decided to move to the northeast. Well, that was mainly because I met a Brazilian girl from the northeast, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously they have a particular accents and they have many different expressions and slangs which I learned just by living there and sort of integrating myself in their culture. And yeah, I found there's many things I found very interesting. um, One of the main things I can think of now is how the Brazilian people are very affectionate. Sort of they're very
Yeah.
friendly, whereas where I'm from in London in the UK, we're a bit colder. It takes a long time to get to know people, whereas in Brazil, in the northeast anyway, it's very quick to know people. When you meet people, it's very very touchy feely. So I
Yep.
made some
Yep.
videos on that subject and yeah, things like that.
Okay. Okay.
I agree because in Brazil you can make a new friend in 5 minutes. Like
Right. Yeah.
if I talk to him for 5 minutes, I we swap numbers. I invite him to dinner at my house later in the day. So the next
Yeah.
day we are drinking something and talking and making fun. That's something that only happens in Brazil. And I tell Dev that and I tell you that. And for you it's sometimes a little bit difficult to understand. But now
Yeah.
that Pete is saying the same thing, you can really see that it's true. Not that I was lying before, but how easy it is, how warm people are in Brazil. So you can
Definitely.
make
Mm,
friends easily. So, you know,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
go
Okay.
ahead.
Well, the next thing, I think it'll be quite cool, Pete, if you could just, well, we did talk a little bit about Portuguese, right? So
About the
you,
language. Yeah.
yeah, about the language, you must have had some experience with it, right? Maybe, well, usually it goes like this: you take some classes, maybe you start watching some videos, so you get into the language.
Yeah.
So how was it for you, basically? What was
Sort of.
your journey, or what your journey has been like? I
Yeah.
think it's the right
Sort of
question to
learning
ask.
a language. Right.
Yeah,
Sure.
right, learning language journey. Well, yeah, your journey
Yeah.
basically to learn Portuguese.
So when I first started to, well, I didn't know much about Brazil until I met
Mm-hmm.
this girl online, and that gave me curiosity. So I'd say the only reason why I'm speaking Portuguese is because I met a Brazilian person, right? And so I traveled to Brazil for the first time to meet that person, and and I was very frustrated the fact that I couldn't communicate because and a lot of people in the
Right.
northeast they didn't speak English, so I had to have
Mm-hmm.
somebody translating for me all of the time. So that really gave me the motivation to want to learn to speak for myself because I felt like I lost my independence because I had to depend on other people to communicate for me. So
Mm-hmm.
the main thing I always tell everyone, if when you want to learn a new language, is what is the main reason you want to learn the language? Because if you don't have a
Yeah.
reason, then you're not. Personally, I feel like you're not going to go very far. So my reason was because I wanted to communicate with my girlfriend at the time, her family. I wanted to navigate the cities by myself. Um, and so I went to university and I saw that there was a Portuguese course that I could join, and I joined that course and I did that for a year and a half, and that taught me the basic rules of the Portuguese language. But I really learned the most of the Portuguese I learned was from traveling to the country, by speaking to native people, by really just being amongst them and listening
Mm-hmm.
to and it and what's the word here, repeating what they say, and just from listening, repetition, and you start to imitate them. You start to pick up the
Mm.
slang and the expressions, and then after a while, you become more fluent every day. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was my introduction with the language, and then I guess that's how I improved the most by doing that.
But
Oh,
I have
okay.
to put my 2 cents in here. I know Pete for a long time, and ever since I spoke with him for the first time, I could see that his Portuguese was amazing because he learned the language. Of course, that he was dating a Brazilian girl, but you can speak Portuguese with a heavy accent because there are difficult sounds that you have to produce.
Yeah.
And he speaks Portuguese, I always say better than me because I see his videos and I say I can believe that he's speaking that way because okay, his wife is Brazilian and but I think that he's really dedicated, because he speaks with such a devotion with the expressions from the
Yeah.
region where he lives, like Oxente or whatever. He speaks everything nicely, so it's really, really good. It's
Mm-hmm.
really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And let me ask you something, Pete. What is friendship to you?
Friendship. Yeah, good questions. Obviously, the main subject about today is about friendship,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Um, Friendship to me is being
Mm-hmm.
amongst people you you care for, and being amongst people that makes you feel good, that makes you feel happy, makes you feel comfortable. I think
Mm-hmm.
and to have somebody to count on, being with somebody that will help you out, will listen to you no matter what, no matter where you come from, no matter your situation in life. To me, that's friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a mixture of things. I don't think friendship's just one thing. I think friendship
Mm-hmm.
is a mixture of many things.
Yeah.
Yeah, friendships. Yeah, definitely.
And I have one other question. I have a follow-up question. How can you compare friendship in Brazil and friendship in England? How do you compare them?
Um, it's interesting you say that because I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I think our strongest friendship comes from, in my experience anyway, is from school. When
Mm-hmm.
you're young and you grow up with people, you grow up and you mature with those people, and you get comfortable with those people from a young age. And nowadays, as you get older, I find it's harder to make friends because we're more mature. We have different responsibilities in life. It's not the same as when you're a child. When you're a child, you don't have many responsibilities. You can really let yourself go. My closest friends are the friends I made from primary school and secondary school,
Mm-hmm.
and they're the kind of friends I feel like will stay around with me forever. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
in Brazil, it's very easy to make friends. People are very friendly, and it's amazing. I love that. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if these. I mean, I don't know if every because it's so easy to make friends in Brazil. I don't know if every friend will be my friend forever, or I'll keep in contact with that person forever. It may be that that is the case, but you can't
Mm-hmm.
guarantee that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you're a foreigner going to Brazil, for example, people in if you're a foreigner from Brazil going to the UK, I feel like it's slightly harder to make friends because naturally I think we're slightly colder. We're quite
Mm-hmm.
reserved people.
Mm-hmm.
We keep things to ourselves. So maybe it's a bit easier to make friends in Brazil compared to the UK. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
as I said, making friends from a young age is important, I think.
Yes,
Totally. Yeah.
I agree. I don't know about you guys, but this is what really happens here. Um, Friendship here is very easy, and I have friends in the United States. I have friends in the UK, as Pete knows. But I don't know. I think it's a thing of spontaneity of mind that everybody comes around and see. Oh, that's nice to talk to you, or it's really good. But we in Brazil we like to nurture those friendships. We keep checking on each other and liking the posts and commenting and calling and whatever. I don't know about you. So, what is the next question, Nikita, that you have for Pete?
Well, I think we we established what friendship is. Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe Pete, you could. Well, it would be my personal question.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
You did say that it's quite difficult to communicate in English, right? And in Brazil, I mean, particularly in your region where you live.
Yeah, I definitely at the beginning it was difficult.
Uh
I
huh.
think
Uh huh.
the statistics were something like only 5% of the Brazilian population can speak English, so it's quite a low
True.
percentage. So and I find English speakers, people that are native English speakers, we have
Mm-hmm.
this stereotypical thing where we think everybody knows how to speak English.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that's how we think, but that's not the case. So yeah, I did find it difficult to communicate, and maybe I thought more people would be able to speak English.
Mm,
Um,
okay. Okay.
it was also quite hard to practice at times because when I went to Brazil, I wanted to practice my Portuguese, but when I met some of the Brazilians, they were like, "Oh my goodness, there's this Gringo. I can practice my English with him." And I was like, "No, no, no, please speak Portuguese because I want to
Yeah,
practice my Portuguese." So, but that's fair enough, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
yeah.
there was definitely some.
What did you do? What did you do when there was this person trying to
Yeah,
desperately trying to speak
uh,
English with you?
yeah. I would usually just because most of the time their English was much better than my Portuguese, so it made sense
Well,
speak
yeah,
English
hmm,
to allow the conversation to flow.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
yeah,
as time went on, and as I kept practicing back in the UK, and as I kept going back to
Mm-hmm.
Brazil to spend my holidays, my Portuguese began to get to a point where it could be just as good as their English level, and so it made sense to then speak Portuguese. And
Yeah.
so it's sort of,
mm, right.
yeah, yeah. So that was
So,
and yeah.
so could you share a funny story that you had in Brazil when you arrived and you couldn't speak Portuguese very well yet? And could you
Yeah,
share something funny?
Uh,
Uh,
the only one the only one I can think of is
mm-hmm.
it was back in 2015. This is 8 years ago now. My mum came to visit me and in Brazil, and we flew to Rio together
Mm-hmm.
to celebrate my birthday. And my Portuguese was very very basic. I could just communicate basic things. And we needed to go to the supermarket to buy some things for our Airbnb, and we bought some items, and I arrived at the checkout. And in Brazil, there's many things they ask you at the checkout which I wasn't used to. So they would ask like, "Oh, would you like a plastic bag? Do you want to pay by credit or debit card? Do you want to do you want to join um, our membership card?" And there's lots
That's
of things
really
being
true.
asked of me, so it's very overwhelming. I didn't understand. All I expected for them to beat my things and then say a price, and I'd look at the screen
Yeah.
and I'd give them the money. But no, it wasn't like that. And so I arrived at
Hmm.
the till. The things were being passed through. She kept talking to me in Portuguese. I had no idea what she said. So I said, so in Portuguese, if you want to say to somebody, "Do you speak English?" You have to say, "Você fala inglês?" Você fala inglês? And you have to say the você at the beginning in order for it to be a question. And
Mm.
I forgot to say você. I just said fala inglês, which then sounds like I'm demanding somebody to
Yeah.
speak
In the imperative form.
in the
Yeah.
imperative form.
Fala inglês.
And I was
Like,
like, I
speak
said, so
English.
fala inglês.
Yeah.
So this is like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I said, speak English. So
Hmm.
it sounded like I was demanding her to speak English.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then she said to me, and then she said, speak Portuguese. And I was like, oh no. I was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to
Yeah.
say that. I forgot to say a word. I didn't mean to say that. And
I told you guys that during Dev's culture corner practice, I told you that that we overlap words and we don't use like a would you like to go? I want you to go. I want you to go for us is normal when you say that in Brazil. But in English, you have to say, it might sound rude. That's what
yeah,
Keith is
yeah.
actually saying, you know? So,
And
so it's,
so she
mhm,
looked really angry at me, and I was like trying to say, I
Yeah.
wasn't even able to apologize because I didn't know how to
yeah,
properly.
yeah.
But yeah, so I came across rude, but I didn't mean
Of course not. You're never rude. We are actually, you know? So, Dev, what's your question?
Actually, I just want to ask him a very simple question. How is your life in Brazil different from in the UK?
Yeah, nice question. Thanks for asking. How is it different? Uh, I guess it's different first of all because I'm speaking a different language, so that's always
Mhm.
challenging sometimes. Even today, it's challenging sometimes. Um, um, I guess the culture is very different, and that's something I've had to get used to because things are done very differently here. Like I said, people are very friendly, very affectionate. Those are things I'm not used to, so I've had to deal with that. I've also had to deal with some of the safety aspects of Brazil. Uh, back in the UK, I'm used to not being worried about being, assaulted or getting robbed or something like that. And some people, unfortunately, that's something you have to be aware of here. That
Yeah.
not everywhere is safe, and you do have to be
Mm-hmm.
sort of street conscious,
Mm-hmm.
streetwise, we say. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I guess the food as well. I had to change my diet. Um, Many things. It's very hot here, so I had to get used to the temperature. A number of things I had to get used to, but I'd say the culture
And
is
to
one that.
eat rice and beans every day, poor.
Well, I quite like that now. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
some of these cultural differences I do enjoy. I think some of them are better. Like the food. I think
yeah,
the food
yeah.
is amazing.
Yeah, lunch for us is much bigger than lunch for him in the UK.
Yeah,
So
I don't know about you
I don't
guys,
know.
but in the UK it's just a sandwich, isn't it? And
Mm-hmm.
and maybe a fruit or something. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm,
But yeah, no, good question.
okay.
I'd say culture is the biggest thing,
Do you
definitely.
think it,
Yeah.
it changed you in some way? I mean, the way you see things? Because, they say when you do something like this, you go out to your comfort zone, well, not just travel to another place, you learn the language, you kind of get to see different things, how people live. So I bet it affected you in some way, right? Now
Yeah,
you.
definitely, definitely. It definitely opens your eyes to what the world has to offer and gives you a good insight of what other people do in the world.
Mm-hmm,
Also, you grow as
mm-hmm.
a person. You're speaking a language you're not used to, and you gain more confidence. Uh, I feel like when I speak Portuguese, sometimes my personality changes slightly. Sometimes I'm
Yeah.
able to convey a message a bit more, a bit better than in English sometimes, and then vice versa. So yeah, definitely, I think it's made me a better person. I think I
Mm-hmm,
hope so.
mm-hmm.
And
Mm. And also,
yeah,
there's this experience of you learning another language that I guess contributes a lot to it. I
yeah,
mean,
definitely. And
yeah,
hearing what people have to say, people express themselves differently here,
yeah.
and so I think that's helped me as well. And the music is different as well. In the UK, we
Oh,
listen to a lot of electronic music, and here it's kind of
uh-huh,
music where you can dance with somebody else, which I think is really nice. You can actually dance with somebody as a
uh-huh.
couple. Uh, yeah, I think that's the main differences, the ones I can think of right now. Anyway, uh,
Mm-hmm,
yeah,
mm-hmm.
definitely.
Okay,
We
okay.
are very affectionate in Brazil. We are very comfortable with each other. Like if I see something that works for him, sometime I text him, "Hey, try this because I tried this and it works."
Hmm.
And we have this kind of, because we live very far away, very far away, as I was telling Dev some minutes ago. And when I see something that's gonna work for him, I say, "Hey, try this and see if it works for you." That's how we communicate in Brazil. We remember friends. Like if it doesn't work for me, I see if it works for him or whatever. So that's
Hmm.
a way we keep a friendship really fresh. So,
Yeah.
and there was not one single thing that I invited him to that he said no. So that's really important for me. This is what friendships is about. If he told me no, it's because he really can do it, but I will totally understand. That's how we are in Brazil. And I think I agree with him 100%. So you need to come to Brazil to see how that is.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
Totally.
it's really
Yeah,
cool.
totally.
Where are you guys right now, Nikita?
I'm in my town. It's well, how can I describe it? Basically, it takes southwest of Russia, and there is Black Sea nearby, and
Yeah, yeah, sure,
Moscow is about 1,000 kilometers away from me, so quite a
sure.
journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the time? What's the time now in Russia?
Let me see. It's 7 p.m. Basically 20 minutes past 7. Yeah, 20 minutes
Wow,
past
okay.
7.
So yeah, like 6 hours ahead, right?
Yep, yep. It's such a nightmare to to arrange something.
Yeah, I can
And what
imagine.
about
Yeah,
you, Dev? Listen,
yeah,
listen.
Dev.
Dev is amazing. How
Hey,
many
Dev.
hours are you ahead?
I'm 8.5 hours ahead. It's almost 10 p.m. here.
It's closer to sort of Russia and India right now. It's close, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's almost 10 p.m.
10 p.m. Right?
Yeah,
Yes, it's close. Yeah, we're a bit. Brazil's a bit behind. In the UK, okay, the UK is 4 hours ahead, so sort of in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah,
And what's the temperature there? Is it
it's
hot in
hot.
India?
It's really
uh,
hot.
it's like 29 degrees Celsius here.
Oh, no, yeah, that's pretty hot. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we are in summers.
Sao Paulo is quite cool today. I think where I am, very nice.
And
For me, go ahead.
Temperature.
Go ahead.
actually, I live near the capital of India in the northern India, so the temperature here is quite moderate.
Ah, nice. Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. Here's 2027. Is it there? What about there, Rod? Is it hot?
Yeah, for me, it's a little bit colder because I am near Paraná State, as I told you.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a little bit colder. But when it's hot, it's really, really hot, like 38, 40, almost every
Wow.
day, you know. So,
Oh, dear, it's
and
very hot.
you don't have winter time in the Northeast, so that's why I think it's a little bit weird for you. So
Yeah, yeah. What's nice though is in the northeast, it stays a certain temperature for most of the year
yeah,
in by the
hmm
seaside. So it's like
yeah.
always like 27. It's quite nice. Quite yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I think that we are getting to the end of this podcast. And it was wonderful to have you. Thank you for doing this, even though you're not in your hometown, let's say so, hometown in Brazil.
yeah.
But you took your time to come here and chat with us.
No, no,
And
it's a
I
pleasure.
and I would like you to say to me in Portuguese, thank you, please.
Ok. Rod, muito obrigado pelo convite.
Imagina,
Imagina. Muito obrigado
because
pelo
he created a video yesterday. Let me tell you why.
Oh
Because
yeah,
we say obrigado. In most of times we say de nada, okay, which means you are welcome. But some people say imagina, imagina. It's kind of like don't mention it.
don't mention.
Is
Yeah,
another way to say it. But there was an explanation that a girl left in the comments for you saying that imagina you don't bother me at all. So it
right.
doesn't matter. You don't bother me at all. So that's really that's something that you don't hear where you live, right? In Brazil.
No,
Obrigado.
no,
Imagina, you know.
not
So
common at all. It's the
yeah,
first time I heard it was here, and I was like, what's
yeah,
everybody imagine? Because
yeah.
imagine in English sounds like to
Imagine,
imagine,
yeah.
imagine
It
something.
was like thank you, imagine, you know. So
Yeah, yeah. I
it's
think
like kind of don't mention it, but that's fine.
yeah.
Well, Pete, thanks once again for doing this. It only
You're very
proves that you are a person who needed to be at Friends Are Us with us, because I really consider you as a friend. I told you that a gazillion times, and whatever
welcome.
you need before, I'll be here for you.
Thank you very much. I
Uh,
really
in my
appreciate the
neck
kind
of the
words.
woods. Okay.
Oh, thank you so much.
So
And it's
this was Nikita from Russia, Dev
yeah,
from
lovely to meet you,
India.
Nikita.
Yeah, they are
Lovely
Yeah,
to meet
really
you.
cool. They are
it's really nice to meet you and to chat with you, Pete.
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
are
Thank.
really good friends to me. They are really good friends to
Oh, I
me,
don't know.
and we are doing this every Saturday just for half an hour so we
Yeah, yeah,
can get together and have fun. Thank
definitely.
you
Yeah,
everybody watching. Guy is here. Guy was here with us. Now I can see that Guy was here. Guy is our moderator on Hello Talk. So let me. Maga was here. Amina, my dear friend Amina from Canada. I'm trying to bring Guy's message to the,
Ah,
but he doesn't stay. I'll try. And
My
it was
bestie is
really,
here.
yeah, yeah. You're best. Yeah. I'm gonna I'm gonna kick you out of the podcast and you stay with your best. I'm joking. It's okay. But Pete, once again, it was amazing. Thank you so much.
you're very
I
welcome.
hope you liked it.
It's been a pleasure. Thank
Okay.
you so much. It's been
So
amazing.
if you are watching on replay, please follow the guy, because even though he speaks Portuguese, he teaches English as well, and he teaches cool stuff there. And follow the guy, please. All right.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, Peter. It was great. Everybody at home, thank you so much. Nikita, my dear, thank you.
Yeah,
Dev, thank
pleasure.
you. See you next week with another guest. Thank you, Pete,
Perfect.
once
Yeah.
again.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. See ya.
See you later.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Mm.